Welcome to another episode of Cooking 100-Year-Old Recipes. This week I'm making one of 5 lemon pies in the cookbook. This is lemon pie 1. First, I'm going to pre-bake the bottom shell because I know the crust will be soggy from the filling if I don't. So I'm pricking the bottom of the pastry, and this is a 2-crust lemon pie. And I'm going to bake it for about 25 minutes with some parchment paper laid inside, and I have some pie beans that I use just for this purpose. And I don't use a huge amount. I think I have about 1/2 to 2/3 of a cup, and that does just fine for me. You may have noticed in the ingredient screen that there is only 1 lemon for a whole lemon pie, and there's an apple and some crackers. Now, why would that be? And to answer that, we have to go back in the time machine. In 1492, when Columbus sailed the ocean blue, he had some lemon seeds, and those lemon seeds made their way to Spain. Some years later, around in the mid-1500s, it's suspected it was Ponce de Leon who brought the lemon seeds to St. Augustine, Florida. They grew well enough. Not necessarily as popular of a food item, but they were there. Now, forwarding to 1886, there was a terrible big freeze that killed all of the commercial lemon trees in Florida. And no commercial growing was attempted again until the 1950s. And when you think about that, that's an entire generation of people that did not have many lemons. Not to say they didn't have any at all, because they were still growing in California, but food distribution was not as it is the way we know it today. However, families were farming. Knowledge of agriculture was likely widespread because that was part of many people's lives. So no doubt there were some lemon trees existing along the East Coast, but they would have been more of a scarcity, not necessarily a luxury item like bananas were at that time, but likely more expensive. So to bulk up the filling of the pie, we have apples, which apples are a well-established American crop. They're not sensitive to cold. They grow in the states that get quite a bit of snow, and they do very well year after year. So apples would have been readily available, and crackers were quite common. So crackers are in the filling. They thicken the filling. They bulk up the filling. Apples are sweet. They have a subtle flavor, and they also bulk up the filling, and the pectin also thickens the pie. So there's no flour in the pie, and there's only a single egg, so those crackers are very important. Now, let's get to making this delicious lemon pie. So I've melted a teaspoon of butter, and I'm going to add the remaining ingredients. The recipe calls for 1/2 of a chopped apple. I'm just going to peel and chop. I ended up using the whole apple because it made such a scant amount of filling, and the recipe does not specify the size of the pie plate. And I used a standard 9-inch, and to be honest, I don't know what a standard pie crust was in 1897. Then the lemon gets zested and juiced. This one single lemon really provides a huge amount of flavor to an entire pie. I don't know why I felt surprised by that, but I did. A single whole egg, 1 cup of white sugar, and it calls for a 1/4 cup of crushed common crackers. So I'm using saltines. And I'm just going to crush them up in my measuring cup. No need to make a big mess, right? Pies are already a little bit messy to make. I'm using the back of a meat mallet to crush them up because it fits right into the cup. I'm nothing if not resourceful. I actually ended up using more because I used more apple and still ended up with a scant amount of filling for the pie. But you're going to see my creative crust to make it all come together nicely. You stir all these simple ingredients together, and a wonderful smell of lemon is filling the kitchen. So I have my slightly cooled pre-baked crust, and it's perfect. I will have no soggy bottom with this pie. Now this is when I realized how little pie filling I have, so that's when I chopped up the remaining apple and added some more cracker crumbs in there. That looks kind of sad, doesn't it? No sad pies on my watch. There's always a way to fix these things. So what I'm going to do is cut the pastry into thin strips and twist them around so that they look somewhat like noodles. And that will add some height so that it goes up closer to the edge of the pie crust, the bottom crust. Looks quite pretty, doesn't it? Kind of looks like noodles. I brushed everything over with an egg wash before putting it in the oven. And I did cover the edges because I know with how much the pie strips were submerged, or the pie crust strips were submerged into the liquidy base, that it would need the full amount of time to get brown. So covering the edges and baking a full 45 minutes. This is my final product. And this is so delicious. I will be making this again very soon. It tastes like a hybrid of an apple pie and a lemon bar. It's not too crusty, it's not too doughy. I have a crispy, flaky bottom. It's a fantastic pie. I couldn't stop eating it. I had 3 pieces in one day. They were small pieces, but still, that's a lot of pie for me to eat in a day. Absolutely delicious. And look how nicely it comes out. Even that first piece comes right out of the tin. So I highly recommend this recipe.